All right, we are back, and we are getting ready to start session 2. And this will be our first novice level adventure. We are picking up this adventure as we left off last week, where our intrepid victims had successfully escaped their cells, gone up against a hooded, dome-headed eel thing, and one of you fought an eyeball thing, and then you all fought the surgeon and defeated him. And so afterwards, as my my summary and my aftermath messages stated, you guys have a little bit of time to rest and to look around and find stuff. And stuff you did find. And you also found other prisoners that are still alive, but they're in really bad shape. In fact, of all the prisoners that are still living, there's only 3 that are really travel worthy. The rest, if you even try to move them out of their cell or down the hall, will probably die in your arms.
All right.
So there was a little bit of talk on Google Plus on what you were wanting to do with these guys, but I don't think you ever came to a general consensus. So what would the 4 of you like to do with the not only the 3 that can travel, but the others that really can't?
I just need a semi-decent corpse. I'm pretty fair game otherwise.
You find one. You find several, actually.
You should do you should use the corpse of the surgeon.
He kind of fell
his
apart.
Body fell to
He kind of fell apart.
And
I'm
he was
gonna-
stabbing anyway, so there was nothing left.
That's true.
I'm gonna see which one is the most together. the least missing of body parts. How about that?
All right. Roll a d6. 1 to 3 is male. 4 to 6 is female.
Oh, good. Uh-oh. Nailed it. Starting out rolling high.
Awesome. Okay, now give me a. Let's do. Oh hell. Let's do 5. No, let's do 8d6. Roll 8d6 to see how old this corpse is.
Nice. Yeah.
All right, you have a 30-year-old male corpse that's in fairly good shape. He might be missing a couple of internal organs. There's a nice little scar where his kidney used to be.
Dad, he doesn't need that anymore.
Oh, no. Yep, don't need that. I have a question, and I haven't been able to find anything about it. How long does animate corpse last? Or an animated corpse?
I don't know. If you look at the
does the spell. How long does the spell last?
Yeah.
Should be in the description somehow, some way. Maybe.
It doesn't. You touch the target. If you concentrate and maintain contact with the target for 1 minute, it becomes a compelled animated corpse of its size.
Okay, yeah, so it's going to stay that way until it dies. And then there should be somewhere in the necromancy area that tells you what your limit is, like how many critters you can control.
Yeah, it's in the sidebar box.
Yeah.
Equal to your power.
Right, so you can have 1 critter, and that critter will be there until it dies.
All right, I got a I would like to animate said 30-year-old corpse.
Excellent. Let me give you a corpse to play with here.
Nice.
We needed a tank.
First words.
He's the necro.
Let me see what this one looks
Of
like.
sorts.
Oh, yeah, he looks good. Let me give you
He can
control
do
of
a
it.
back meal.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. I'm gonna start loading stuff on him.
All right. So as far as the 3 prisoners who are travelable, I think they should probably come with us, just because we should be freeing them. The ones who can't travel, I don't have any opinion about. We can leave them, or they can die in our arms as we try and get them out. Excuse me, whatever they want to do.
Can we sing songs to them as they die?
We can't
We don't
accept
have enough
this.
time.
I just died in your arms tonight.
Except the whole building is earthquaking.
Yeah,
okay.
We don't have enough time.
No, all right, no. There's not enough time for that.
All right, Jeremy, try to move your animated corpse around.
All right, all right, Mr. Stinky. You go where I want. Yeah!
All right, rock and roll. Okay, so you're going to bring the 3 that can move on their under their own power along with. And what about the rest that are dying and that can't be moved without doing them more harm? You're just going to leave them in their cells? You're going to leave them any food?
Leaving them in their cells is the least evil, I guess.
Hmm.
Moving them will kill
yeah,
them,
I'm
is
not,
that right?
This character isn't the kind of character to ask them if they want to die or not, so I do not do that. Although for some reason I thought of doing that.
My character's got an interesting relationship with death. Like, now that you've gone past the whole dying and coming back, the appropriate death is kind of just out the window. So
Yeah. I think we leave them in their cells, wish them good luck. Sorry we can't help, but we're going to help those we can help. And we'll start issuing the 3,
Can you guys hear me?
grabbing the 3, and I guess moving towards the exit, which we have a
So
key
moving the
for, I
ones
believe,
that are in their cells will kill them, is that correct?
that we took off of the
Yes.
deads.
Yes, it is, Mark.
Do we want to just put them out of their misery then?
I could
With
speedrun
my-
some murder.
With my doctor background or healer background, I'm gonna end their misery quick and painlessly. Each one that can't be saved.
Speedrunning murder.
Okay. The ones that you leave in the cells are like begging and pleading, don't leave us, please help. Being extremely pathetic, kind of annoying, but nonetheless, they are pleading for aid and not to be left behind. Clearly, trying to move them is just going to end them. So, if you decide to leave them, then you leave them pleading and begging. As you walk away, the tremors that you had encountered in the last session, they just continue to happen throughout the hour that you are resting. And they happen with greater frequency and greater strength. You know it's building to another massive quake. And so as the more time you spend in here, the less likely you're going to be able to get out when the roof starts caving in. So I'm going to say it's close to the end of the hour. You've gotten your rest in. You've collected what loot and what food you can. You've collected the 3 people that can move under their own power. At this point, you are now trying to decide what your next moves are when that massive quake does finally hit. The entire place starts rocking and shaking, about the same, if not worse than before. Large chunks of ceiling, large big sections of wall come caving in, and you have but moments to exit the premises. So I'm going to assume that Blue and Baranara are not the only ones that were moving towards the door when all of this started going down. And so I'm going to say that you are all facing the double iron doors that are blocking your exit from this foul prison. So what are you going to do?
There's still a glyph on it, correct?
The glyph is actually on the ground underneath the door.
Yeah.
And yes, it's still glowing with power, with arcane power. And the two iron doors actually, they have buckled a little bit because the walls have kind of shifted, but they are still secured.
All right, well, I'm going to jam the key in the keyhole, the key that we took from the surgeon into the keyhole and twist it whichever way it wants to go.
Okay, how are you going to get there without stepping on the glyph?
I'm hoping that
Zombie.
It's a good call. Zombie step on the glyph while we're around the corner.
Yeah. I can. Hold on.
Yeah, because even though I got a long snake tail and all that, I'm still just medium, so I don't have any, or size 1. I don't have any special anything. So.
Does that glyph cover the whole door?
It covers both squares in front of the door.
So with how short I am, would I be able to go around the glyph to put the key in without touching it?
Not likely.
No, but if we had a pixie show up for the game tonight, that pixie could have.
Where on the map is the double doors?
All right, see my ping there?
Yeah.
Come that way. You have to go north and then west and then south.
My ping should have brought everybody over to the section where you're at.
Yeah, it lets you see it, but they can't get their tokens there unless they know how to walk there because of dynamic lighting.
You know what? Let me do this. Let me just move you. It'll be faster for everybody involved.
I appreciate it.
All right.
There you go. I'll give you a little bit of a lift. A DM lift. Come on, Mr. Stinky.
Thank
All right.
you. Mr. Stinky appreciates it.
And
mean,
Vorvon
very
is in the... he's in the imaginary place where PCs go when they don't show up for a night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Green,
so
glow, and Vorvon disappear.
the place is rocking and rolling around you. You have but moments before you are trapped in this place forever. So what are you going to do?
Send the zombie to the door.
Is the glyph something I can shoot a bolt off and set it off from distance?
There are iron doors, and the glyph is actually etched into the stone of the floor. So you're thinking a bolt is probably not going to do much to it.
All right.
Everybody give me... okay. Everybody zoom into that area and tell me what you see.
Big pile of rocks on the steps.
You do see a big pile of rocks on the steps.
That's correct.
All right. So
Is
why
there a
don't
hole
we?
from
Do
where
you
they
think we can
built
lay
them
those
up
rocks
top?
over top of the glyph?
Push the rocks down.
Yeah, and use the rocks to cover the glyph so that we can step
Like
over
did
top
the
of it.
ceiling collapse and there's a hole up into another
Or we just
floor
move
kind
some
of a
rocks
thing?
out of the way and see what's under the pile of rocks.
All of those sound great, like great options. What would you like to do?
Should we just start with Mr. Stinky?
Yeah, I say you start with Mr. Stinky just going and standing on the glyph and see what happens. But I'm going to be behind the corner where my token is.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Jeremy.
I've always loved you, Mr. Stinky, even though we've only known each other possibly minutes. I'm going to send Mr. Stinky towards the door.
Just by himself?
Yes.
Okay. You send Mr. Stinky towards the door, and as soon as he steps on the glowing glyph, the glyph explodes in an upward shower of arcane energy that lights up the entire area brightly for a moment. When the brightness dims, you see the skeleton of Mr. Stinky standing there for a moment and then just crumble into a pile of bones.
Nice.
Rest in peace, Mr. Stinky. Once again.
You should have had him dance to Thriller. That'd have been awesome.
All right. Well, that didn't work. So
Sorry.
let's try and. I guess I'm going to pick up one of these rocks and set it take a rock from here and put it just right before the edge of said glyph.
Yep.
And then get a second rock and a third rock, and then push the third rock so it pushes the second, so that the first one goes over the glyph.
Okay.
See what happens.
You do all those things, and you have no adverse reaction from the glyph.
All right, then I'm going to do enough so that I can slither to the keyhole.
Okay. You do so, and as you do so, I need for the rest of you to give me an agility challenge roll as a huge chunk of ceiling comes down in the safe space that you have made for yourselves back behind Blue.
I don't believe in safe spaces.
That is a D20 versus 1D20.
Agility challenge roll. D20, add your agility mod.
12 plus 1, 13.
Oh, sadness. Delano gets hit by a big chunk of boulder, rock, ceiling.
Let me.
Luckily, it's not too huge. You merely take 3 points of damage.
Woohoo, okay.
Agility.
All right, what about Baranora and Zatada? All right, Zatada, no
Yeah.
problem. You dance all around the falling boulders like a pro.
I got a 13.
All right, and you're too small for the rocks to find you, so you manage to dodge out of the way as well. Blue, you see the ceiling starting to crumble behind you. What are you going to do?
Push the key into the hole.
The key goes into the hole. Now what?
Does it unlock?
Well, you're going to twist it?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you twist the key. You hear some mechanisms inside the door clicking and clicking and clicking, and you hear the click stop. But the door does not open.
All right. I will look back to our barbarian and say, can you give this a shove?
Sure, I do a lunging run at it.
All right, give me a strength challenge roll with one boon.
Ooh, a boon. Don't even need the boon. 16 plus 5 plus 1.
All right, excellent. You kind of leap off Blue's tail and shoulder into the door. Your momentum carries you through, and you roll to a stop on the other side. The door is now, one side of the door is now hanging open, and you are free to leave this miserable place.
I do that. Quickly.
Out. No way.
Okay. Assuming everybody follows suit, you all wind through some tunnels with big chunks of wall and ceiling coming down all around you. You kind of have to dance around that. Lots of debris coming down, kind of obscuring your view. That big area of boulder there is climbable, so you do have to climb over it. You don't have to worry about that right now. I assume that you managed to climb over it and get into the tunnel beyond. You go a ways beyond the tunnel, and you start going upwards, and it twists a little bit, but you eventually see some light at the end of the tunnel. You go about another 20-25 yards or so, and you finally emerge from the dungeons that you have been kept in. And what you see beyond is interesting, because when you emerge from the surgeon's prison, you find yourselves overlooking an alien landscape. The terrain and the sky have a red coloration and appear largely barren, with some hills and some mountains in the distance. There's also some craters dotting the plains before you. The wind that you feel once you exit the tunnel is strong and abrasive. On the horizon, thick storm clouds flash with frequent arcs of lightning. Overhead, however, the cloud cover is significant, but there are breaks in the clouds. And through those breaks, through those gaps, you see that it is midday as the sun is roughly over your heads. However, you immediately notice that something seems to be wrong with the sun itself. It seems oddly swollen, much larger than you remember it being on any of your respective worlds. And there are numerous flares that are bursting from it. You also notice that you are looking directly at the sun and it is not hurting your eyes like it should. So that indicates that the sun is not nearly as bright as it should be, especially with it being directly overhead, being midday and all. The cloud cover does not account for the loss of luminous. Okay, help me out. Luminescence emanating from the sun, and the flares that are bursting from the sun are clearly not a phenomenon that you are used to seeing. That behavior is not typical of the sun. So something is up, and you are not really sure what it is. But the tremors that you feel and have been feeling seem to come to a peak. And as you kind of look around down below, you see you're basically up on a hillside. And as you look around, you can see that you're about maybe 50 yards from ground level. And the hill that you're on is kind of a gradual slope. It's maybe a 35-degree slope going downwards and upwards behind you. And you can see not directly below you on the ground below you, but kind of let's say about 150 yards off to the side. You see the ground itself kind of undulate like something massive is moving beneath the soil, and you kind of notice that the movement of this undulating earth is kind of coinciding or corresponding with the movements of the hillside around you. So apparently the quakes are being caused by whatever it is that that's underneath this hill that you are on. The undulating seems to be moving away from you, and when it's it takes several minutes, but when it's a ways out, let's say maybe about half a mile out, it actually breaches the surface, and you can see that what emerges from the ground is probably the largest creature you have ever witnessed. It is a massive worm or worm-like creature that just erupts from the. Yeah, no, it's actually it's a complete worm, not just half worm, and it emerges from the earth. It kind of bursts forth from the earth, and this massive maw just kind of swallows up tons of earth as it does so. It just kind of stands there for a minute and just kind of sways, and then it just basically sinks back down into the earth, and it just essentially from that point on it just kind of disappears into the earth itself. You don't feel the tremors anymore. Those kind of quiet down, and the hillside around you stops shaking. You don't see any more boulders falling or anything like that, and things seem to have calmed. If your vampire were with you, he would be covering up with everything he could, but luckily he has disappeared into that pocket dimension that they go into. So you are on the side. You're on a hillside, and you're overlooking Tartarus. So what are you going to do?
I'm immediately looking for an ether ship that works with my key.
And in the immediate vicinity, for miles in every direction, you see nothing but plains and mountains in the distance. In fact, I actually have a picture. Let me show you. And this is the best I could find. And I didn't have time to paint one myself, but and It doesn't look exactly like this, but it kind of gives you the flavor for what you have kind of before you.
Oh, good.
I like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you got the sun with all kinds of weird flares coming off of it. You've got basically barren plains ahead of you. The lava isn't pouring out like that, but you get the drift. The temperature right now is fairly moderate. I would say it fluctuates probably between 65 and 75 degrees, just depending on how much sun peeks through the clouds. So it's not it's fairly comfortable outside, but the wind is pretty annoying. It's a constant wind. It's just blowing sand constantly at you. Any exposed skin or scales that you may have is just like being
Dry.
sandblasted constantly. You're definitely being exfoliated, so you're going to have nice smooth skin
Skin
if
fresh
it doesn't
as
totally flinch it off of you. But
I dress myself in the soiled garments, so I am 100% protected.
all right, awesome. The thing that you are most worried about is that storm off in the distance seems to be moving in your direction.
We have
All
3
right.
prisoners, correct?
Well, we need to find something. Let's
Yeah,
get,
you have three.
up off this hill.
You have 3 of the prisoners, 2 men and 1 woman.
Let's ask them if they know about this world.
All right,
at
do any of the
all.
3
I
of them,
assume
were
they're
any of
not
the 3 of them
here.
from here, or have
Can
any
we
of them been
figure
out of
where they
the
are
prison
from,
yet or before? Do they remember
about
anything
the
on the way
police or
in?
whatever, how long they've been here? What?
It's great. It's great that both of you guys cannot hear each other because you said the exact same thing.
Yep.
That was good. That was good. And the answer to both of you is neither of them are from Tartarus. They're looking around in awe of the surrounding landscape. And when you ask them if they know their way around here, they're like, no. They have no idea where they're at.
All right, we're going left. I just turn left and start going that direction.
I vote in whichever way the storm is not.
I would imagine that since my character lived underground her whole life, that she would be just awestruck, unable to even comprehend anything that's going on.
Okay, so let me ask you this: you are definitely Barnora is definitely kind of experiencing a moment of whoa, this is way too much space for me. Do any of you have any backgrounds that would lend itself to the wilderness and survival and that sort of thing?
No.
Spelunker.
Well, that would help you back there in the collapsed tunnels, but not so much
So
out
that
here.
came from the wilderness profession table. But that's all I got.
Pickpocket and spy. Okay. All right. So yeah, you guys are kind of clueless right now. I am going to help you out and say that one of your prisoner friends was a hunter, and so they kind of look around and they say the least dangerous path looks like that way. So he kind of starts trotting down the hill. He slips a little bit, but he manages to hold on as he goes down the hill. The gravel is somewhat loose, but it's not terribly treacherous. I'm not going to make you roll or anything like that. You all can basically get down the hill without killing yourselves. And it doesn't take long for you to get to the bottom. And your hunter friend, we'll just call him Hunter. That's his name. Hunter says, let's go off in this direction. It looks as good as any. It seems to be in the opposite direction that storm is headed. All right. So as you guys travel, I'm assuming that you're taking stock of some of the things that you have gathered. Let's also take a moment to introduce yourselves to each other, since you probably you may have spent a little bit of time in cells, but you really haven't spent any quality time with each other outside of the cells. So why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, any background information you want to share, and what the novice path that you just picked up is. Steve, why don't we start with you?
Let's see. I picked up Barbarian, so I am going to be a unarmored tank, pretty much. And
Okay.
I guess character is shorter than average. 16-year-old human, beautiful looking human girl, I guess.
Okay, any questions for Baranora, the short, attractive, human-looking half-demon?
The-
No, she's too cute for me to talk to.
Okay, Blue, you're up next. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Blue is a just slightly older than Baranor. He's a 17-year-old guy. He is a half man, half snake called a Naga. He does not come from Earth. He comes from another planet with basically another subdivision or cult of the Naga religion. And he was on his way with a group basically going to try and may possibly find a way to reunite, and he found himself hijacked and in this prison. He is flighty. He will go left and then right and then right and then left and not realize that he's doing it. And with his insanity as high as it is already, most likely he is going to live in that state. So I will do my best to be inconsistent.
Yep. Baranar is just as psychotic.
Nice,
All right, well, I
nice.
can't hear Mark, so he has nothing to say. How about Jeremy?
Thanks. Zatada is older than your characters. I think he ended up being 28. I don't have his character sheet at the moment. It's currently in the trunk of my car in the shop.
You don't have it here on Roll20?
I do not.
Or you
But
didn't?
I can tell you, I do remember that he is in no way good to look at before he died.
Yeah, he was short and fat.
He was short,
Right.
fat, unattractive, and then he died, and now he's a little bit more bloated than he was, and got a limp. He's not gonna win any beauty contests.
Okay, so you're Danny DeVito.
Got it. Yep.
Undead Danny DeVito.
Less hair.
All right. And Mark, introduce yourself.
All right. Everybody can hear me except Blue, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Delano is a halfling. He's fairly tall for a halfling. He can almost pass as a short human. He's got a very average, forgettable-looking face. He is easy to forget, and sometimes you can forget he's there. He's missing his right foot and has a makeshift cane that he's limping with. He went the rogue path. He's in his mid-40s. He tells you that he grew up in a tough city, tough neighborhood, and had to basically live off the streets and fend for himself. And he's he's all right with lightening people's pockets. So, and he's running around with a crossbow and a small sword and trying to keep up with y'all.
So in other words, your character is the grandpa of the group.
Yes, yeah,
AARP recipient.
that's exactly right. You have to
Looks like
respect
in
him
life.
too, because he's an elder.
Too bad he couldn't hear me ripping off.
All right, very nice. All right, the others that are with you introduce themselves. Hunter, you've already met. Then Lara is the female. She's an older lady, probably in her late 40s, maybe early 50s. Seems to be in fairly good shape. She claims that she is from Earth and was from the region known as the Northern Reach. She lived in the town of Crossings, and she was abducted from her home in the dark of night. She wants to get back to her family. Norm is also a male, very socially awkward. He has a pair of spectacles that the glasses have broken out long ago, and they have tape in the center to hold them together. And he is fairly quiet. He keeps to himself and seems to be constantly hungry. His stomach is growling quite loudly. So that is the pathetic group that you have with you. And Hunter is leading you on your merry way through the plains of Tartarus. And you are heading basically further into the plains. It looks like there's some mountains off, or maybe some large hills off into the distance. You have no way of knowing how far they are, but they are clearly miles from your current position. Hunter says he doubts that you guys will get there in one day. And as you travel a little bit, you travel a couple hours, and the sun travels from its place directly above you. It travels in its circuit much faster than you're accustomed to in your planet. And Hunter kind of does a little math in his head, and he says, it seems that the days are much shorter here than they are on Earth. He's guesstimating that the day here is probably anywhere between 18 and 20 hours. So if it's midday, you may have 4 hours before it's dark.
Hey guys, I've got this long cylindrical thing with glass on either end. I think they call it a spyglass. Is that good for any of this? Should we be using it?
Hunter looks at you and he says, yeah, actually, that would be very helpful. If you can look through the glass and kind of look off in that direction, see if you see anything moving or anything that looks like civilization. That'd be great.
I will spyglass around us.
All right, give me a perception challenge roll, please.
Are you holding it the right way?
I think so. I'm academic and with magic, and I'm sure we had to use some kind of telescopes, and this works on the same kind of thing. So
sure,
probably. So you said perception. Any boons or banes?
No boons or banes at this point.
All right. There you go.
All right, very nice. You get a pretty good view of the countryside and the landscape before you, and you think you spot something way off in the distance. There's just a little dot, but it's a dot that seems to be moving, and it looks like very tiny shapes, pretty much almost on the horizon. But it definitely looks like it's something that's moving. So it is clearly it's not a rock or some inanimate object you're staring at.
Could it be the worm that we saw?
No, the worm has a very distinct shape.
Okay.
You would know a worm when it pops up out of the ground. This is definitely not a worm. Rather, it looks like something much smaller than a worm that seems to be moving. So. Hunter takes your glass from you and kind of looks in the direction. He confirms that he sees the same thing that you see. He suggests maybe that might be people, and he asked if anybody knows if Tartarus has people on it.
Well, there's supposedly some people in the Violet Hills. Do we see any hills that look violet while we're looking around?
Hunter kind of looks around as he still has your. I assume you let him look through your spyglass.
Yeah, I'll allow that.
Yeah, he kind of scans the area, and off, not too much off to the right of where the little dot of the little moving dot you saw, he does see some hills off in the distance there, and they seem to have kind of a purplish hue to them. Might be the hills that you're referring to. Incidentally, those hills is the mountains that he pointed to earlier. They appear to be behind those hills, but it's in that same direction.
Is
Yeah,
that
it's,
in the direction
I'm
of
all
the
for
storm,
pushing that
or
direction.
away from it?
Delano said something about those, I know, at one point, so.
What do you got to lose?
Live.
All right, so you guys start heading off in that direction, and it's starting to get the sun is definitely starting to move towards the horizon. The weird flares continue to shoot off of it, and you can see that the sky behind you is darkening as the sun dips towards the below the horizon. I need for everybody to give me a perception challenge roll with 1 Bane.
I'm going to give myself 2 Banes. Why? Because my character is lost on the surface.
Because you like a challenge.
And I still roll high. What the hell?
Don't worry, I failed it for the rest of us.
18 plus 1 minus 3.
All right. Looks like Blue failed. Delano was successful. Zatada failed. And who's left?
Spectacularly.
Steve, what'd you say?
16.
All right. So Delano and Baranara, you both spot something, oddly in different directions, but pretty much at the same time. You guys notice something not quite right about the ground directly ahead of you in the direction that you're walking. As you kind of study it a little bit further, you notice that the area that Baranora is looking at, you see kind of a something sticking out of the ground. You're not exactly sure what it is, but it doesn't look like a rock. It looks like something's jutting up out of the ground. As you kind of look closer, you see that thing twitch, and you can see that it's a hand, and it's like slowly coming up and becoming an arm, and then it puts its hand down on the ground, and another hand comes up out of the earth, and before you know it, you have a body that's pulling itself out of the ground. At the same time, Delano, on the other side of you, you actually kind of stepped on something that made you draw your foot back quickly, and as you did, a whole bunch of sand that you're kind of walking on and crunching on, dirt and sand, just collapse beneath you, revealing a pit. And within that pit, it's probably about 20 feet deep, and all the sand and grit starts sinking rapidly into this 20-foot deep pit. And at the very bottom of it, you see this black mass undulating at the bottom of this pit and kind of bubbling. And you see these little pseudopods coming off of it and kind of slapping up at the air towards you, not quite reaching, but definitely reaching for, grasping at something, hoping that it falls into its grasp. But the more immediate threat is what Baranara saw, And Baronora, as you see this one thing pulling itself out of the earth, the rest of you notice several other things in the area begin to pull themselves out of the earth. What are you going to do?
My first thought is Zada is one. Are those your guys? Did you just make
away
those?
from the
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Let's.
I
let's
really
kill
wanted
the
to run up
bastards.
and give it a high five, though. I resisted. But the hand coming out of the ground, run up, high five. Psh.
Not everything crawling up from the death is a friend of yours.
I mean, you know, death makes allies out of us all.
That's true.
Oddly enough, Zatada, the first guy that you see that reveals itself out of the earth, you do recognize. It was somebody that you spent some time in a cell with a couple weeks ago, but he disappeared.
Ted!
He disappeared and never to be seen again. Somehow he's made his way out here, and he's clearly missing an arm completely. He has big chunks of meat that are missing from his torso. He's missing half of his face, and he is clearly also devoid of life, as you know it. But he is still animated and walking towards you with his hand out stretched. It's more of a claw now, his one good hand. And it seems to be moving in your general direction. As you look around you, you notice that you are now surrounded by these things that are pulling themselves out of the ground. So you guys have just enough time to get your weapons drawn and prepare to defend yourselves as these things appear to want to rip you to shreds.
All right.
Let's do this. I need to get rid of your old turn order so that you can start a new one. Yeah, this turn order is annoying me because I hit the trash can and it doesn't do anything. That's annoying. Okay, now you can do fast or slow.
All right, it's just me. I only see mine and Baronora and actually Loga's tokens.
Yeah.
Am I missing some people?
You probably are. I don't think I have you all out there, so let me rectify that. So who is missing?
Me. Zatada.
There's Atada and Delano. All right, Delano,
And then
you're
you can
next to a
probably-
pit. So I'm going to put you kind of over here off to the side and reveal the pit that you saw.
Roger that.
As soon as I find my GM layer, there we go. And move it to the forefront. All right, that is the pit that you revealed. That is, that's got the black undulating thing. Okay, so we got blue is slow, Barnard is slow. The corpses will go slow.
Uh-oh. Did it not do the thing?
And
Does it have
we
me on there?
have round one. Sorry?
Does it have me on there?
Sorry, I just pushed a PF button or an F button by mistake. Where are you? I do not see. I see Delano, Blue, and Baronora.
Yeah, you should
I
be
don't-
able to, when you click on your own token, top left should have a little box for initiative, and then you should be able to pick from there.
In the meantime, are you going fast or slow?
Slow.
All right. So none of you are going fast. None of me are going fast. So you guys still
I'm
get to
going
go
twice
first.
now, apparently.
That's fine. I'll get rid of one. Okay. So who wants to go first?
I'll go. Let's see.
If Dan
I'm
is
gonna
not
move.
talking, I'll go first.
1,
He is talking. Never mind.
2, 3, 4, 5. And I am going to attack this undead little guy right here.
Okay.
I'm going to attack him with my venomous bite. I am going to actually do that via a spell, though. I'm going to use augmented attack so that I get a boon and I can make my attack with intellect.
So it's a smart bite.
It is a smart bite. 26 defense for 1 damage.
It has a very low defense, so your 26 more than hit it 3 times over.
All right, so I do 1 damage. And if it is not immune to poison, it needs to make a strength challenge roll or become poisoned for 1 minute.
Oh, sadly, it cares not for your poison.
All right, now I know.
And knowing's half the battle.
Yeah, now I can switch to the chain that does more damage. All right.
There you go. All right, very good. First blood has been drawn by Blue. Who's next?
I think Mark said he wanted to go.
Yeah, I'll go if nobody else is ready.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead
for
and
it.
go.
All right. I went slow, so what I'd like to do is move, shoot, and move.
You may do so.
So this should be like half my move. I'll shoot at the same one that
Blue bit.
exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and use my my trickery with this, okay?
Trick away.
All right.
Excellent.
And, here's the trickery damage. Wait a minute.
All right, fantastic.
Oh, there's the extra 2 damage from trickery.
More than enough. Your crossbow bolt flies right by Blue and lodges itself pretty much right in the forehead of this creature. The Walking Dead cast would be very proud of you right now as this thing drops to the ground and stops moving. 1 down.
And then that's where I'll finish my move. That's where I'll finish my move.
Excellent. All right, good job, Delano. Who's next?
I'm going to run at this one and attack him dual wielding. That's 2 Banes, 1 Bane negated. Does a 12 hit it?
12 does hit it, and you recognize this corpse as being somebody you spent some time with in a cell as well. But this one is clearly missing half of its skull. Its mandible is gone, and its tongue is just kind of hanging, flopping on its chest. It's also missing various parts of its body. What kind of damage do you do?
It's alright, I didn't like this person anyways. 9 damage.
All right, so you do the corpse a favor by just removing its head from its body, and both of them go in separate directions and stop moving, and you take
1
care
sword
of
in each
corpse number
eyeball.
2. Well
There
done.
you go, boys. Keep it going, boys. Keep it going.
All right, Zatada, you are last, so what would you like to do? Admire the handiwork here?
Can I delay until after the zombies move?
That is an action that is called, what is it called?
I think
Is
it's
it called
prepare,
delay?
maybe?
Ready or
Is
prepare?
it prepare? Ready?
Prepare, yeah.
Prepare.
So
Okay.
prepare,
like
basically you're
stand
preparing
back.
for a specific trigger to occur, and then you use your triggered action when that triggering event occurs. So what trigger are you waiting for?
One of the undead to move closer to the party. Can I? So that's my action. Can I move and then do that?
You can.
Okay. I'm going to move next to the Naga and prepare for the zombie opposite the ooze pit to move over.
All right. Now, if these creatures could talk, they would correct you and say, "We, sir, are no zombies. We are animated
Undead.
dead. There's a difference. You have offended us. You must die." And so this zombie will, or sorry, this animated creature will begin to move in your direction.
You have offended me.
One,
I have offended myself.
The GM offended him. Now they're on our side.
okay, so the animated corpse moves, and that is your trigger. What would you like to do next? As your
I'm
triggered
going
action.
to attack with my staff.
All right. Your staff comforts you as you do what with it?
Give it a
Swing
step
for the
action.
legs.
All right. Make it happen.
Swing away. I doubt that hits.
Oh, a 7 is almost good enough to hit it because its defense is 8. But a gust of wind kicked up at the last moment, and your aim was blown off by that sudden gust. So sadly, you missed. But the non-zombie animated dead is more than happy to show you how it's done. And so it will continue its action, or will use its action, I should say. Actually, does it get an action? I guess I should read first. Yeah, it gets a move and an action. Okay, so with its fist, it is going to kind of take a slug at you. And it misses horribly with a 5, so it clearly doesn't know what it's doing. But it is done with its turn, and the others, his friends, you all note have at one time or another gone through your cells. So these are actually clearly ex-prisoners that somehow got out here. But by the damage done to their bodies, what you're assuming is that these are the leftovers that the surgeon didn't really have much use for. And he pretty much just dumped them out in the desert to get rid of them. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That guy will move to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He will move to there. Delano's in trouble as two of them team up. Baranora also gets the favor of a corpse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That guy tries to move through some rocks and kind of stumbles over them. They slow him down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This guy actually falls and reveals another tar pit that opens up beneath him as he tries to move in your direction. And if I can find it, I will display it for you as such. There we go. All right, and he that one kind of tumbles in and is swallowed up, and you can see, Delano can see anyway, this guy falling in there, and you see these tendrils of tar essentially reaching up and engulfing this thing and yanking it down. So at least one of the corpses is eaten up by the tar, but that also tells you something else, that there's lots of tar pits in this area, and they seem to be hidden from your view. So let's see what else. We've got a zombie or a corpse over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And a few more back here. We'll just move them up a little closer, like so. And that guy falls into the pit because he's stupid. All right. So the ones that have been able to reach you have done so. Baranura, one is going to swing at you, and this corpse is actually a fairly good shot. Smacks you with a fist. Does 3 points of damage with his meaty fist. Leaves a little smear of rotting flesh on your face. Then we got Delano. It's got 2 on him. He's in trouble. The first one takes a swing. Second one takes a swing. The first one misses horribly. The second one, though, that one connects. No, it doesn't. It misses by just barely. This fist goes right by your face. But you manage to back away just in the nick of time. So I believe that's it. Nobody's on blue. The one that's on Zatada is gone. Everybody else is too far away. So that is it for round the first. Let me get rid of Zatada. And the animated corpses will continue to go slow. Before I move forward, do we have any end of round, anything that happens at the end of the round 1? Nobody did any healing or anything, right?
No.
Okay, so we're done with round 1. Let's go to round 2 and show me fast or slow.
Reloading is fast or slow?
Fast or slow? We got fast Baranora. We got a slow blue.
Can you reload a crossbow in fast, or does it have to be slow?
You can choose to go fast and then change it to slow if you want to.
Crossbow, it just says it takes an action, so it's fast or slow.
Oh, sorry, I
You're
didn't
just
understand
using
you.
your action to reload it. So.
Well, then I'll go fast.
Alrighty. And Zatada, what are you doing?
Fast.
All right, we got 3 fast. So who wants to go first? Delano, Baranora, or Zatada?
Delano will reload his crossbow.
Okay. Are you going to move? Oh, no, you're going fast. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't move.
All right. So Baranora and Zatada, who's going first?
Baranora is going to stabby stab. A 9 hit it.
A 9 does hit it. Your blade sinks into the rotting flesh.
For 8 damage.
8 damage, excellent. As your blade emerges from the rotting flesh, a mass of internal organs spill out of the wound that you created, basically emptying the corpse, and its torso collapses in on itself. It basically falls to the ground in a quivering pile of flesh and bone. So that one is gone. Well done, Baranora. Who's next? Zatada.
Zatada. Swinging with the staff again. One of these days it'll work.
Dual wielding is not as bad as I thought it would be.
Oh, Zatada, the staff is
Not today.
Not your weapon. At least not this day. So that is a miss. And the animated corpse holds in a chuckle as it tries not to laugh at you. All right, that's it for all the fast turns. How about slow turns? Blue, you appear to be the only slow.
All right, I was hoping Zatada had that one, and I was going to move over to Delano, but I'm going to have
Just
to
leave me.
kill...
Just leave me.
Are you sure? You're
Yes,
my boy,
I'm a
Blue?
disappointment. I'm a shame.
All right, so I'm going to move to here and attack this fine fellow with my chain. I am going to, before I do that though, I'm going to have a moment of clarity. So I get 1 boon on my attack.
I keep forgetting about that moment of clarity.
So where in the heck is my attack? There it is. And we're going to use the chain, agility, target, boon. There we go. 2 damage to that fine lad.
Excellent. You do hit it with the chain, and some bits of flesh come off of it. Not enough to take it out, though. It is still standing and moving and looking at you. Well, one eye is looking at you. The other eye is kind of flopping around by whatever holds it to the face. And so it is still healthy and ready to attack, which it does next with its meaty fist. On blue, 14 is not sufficient to hit you. So it basically just swings wildly, and you deftly dodge out of the way. 17, that's a very nice defense there, Blue. And so that
one, mail and a large shield. So
yeah, very good. That one misses, and we move on to the next one. It's on Delano, and the Delano corpse is going to also miss horribly as a big gust of wind blows big, huge dust in its face. And huge dust. That's nice. And it misses. Nice. The next corpse up is the one on Zatata, and that one is going to flail at you wildly. Looks like it connects with a 12, doing 3 points of damage to you, sir. And then the other corpses that are nearby are going to close the gap. So we got another one on. Actually, this one is going to go on blue, and then this one is going to go on Delano. Baranora, you are not getting any animated corpse love. This one wants to go to Zatata, gets too close to the pit and falls in. This one comes up to blue, and then this one gets too close to that pit and gets sucked in. So we have a new one on blue, and he will take a swing. Bada swing, and that connects with 2 points of damage from a meaty fist. Another one on Delano, and this portly corpsey misses you, or does it? Yes, it does. It misses you horribly as it's flailing around like an idiot. And I believe those are all of the ones that are capable of attacking. No, I think one more came up on blue, right? Or
yeah,
no, that
and
one.
There's still one way up. Yeah, there's a second one on me and one up really high still.
Right. Okay, that one, second one on you, misses. All right. Let's see. It would help if I could see my whole map here. All right, this guy, it's way back here. He hasn't moved, so he's going to come up and he's going to join the bash party on Zatata. Seems to be easy pickings. This guy can't defend himself and can't hit. And he connects with a 9 to Zatata's head, doing 4 points of damage. How are you holding up, Zatata?
Mostly alive.
All right, well, you got 2 corpses that want to end that state for you, so we end this round and start round the 3rd, unless we have an end of round action for round 2. I don't think we do. So go ahead and put down your round 3 intentions. Fast or slow? All right. Fast, slow. Or sorry, that's one of my slow. So, all right, fast, slow. All right, fast, go, fast now.
Tell him to go ahead.
I wish to cast a
Delano,
spell.
Blue says you have his blessing to go ahead first.
Yeah, I heard Jeremy talking, so is he fast?
It's not letting me put my initiative in. is really
Click on your
buggy.
token, and then it should be in the top left corner.
Your token has to be highlighted.
Yep, you have to have your token clicked.
There we
you
go.
All right, rock and roll. Who's going to go?
Jeremy will go first.
I would like to cast. I'm gonna cast Grave Grasp on myself.
All right, sounds like a plan.
A circle on the ground with 5-yard radius centered on a point within short range. Each creature in the area, when you cast a spell, or that is in the area at the end of round, must make an agility challenge roll.
Okay, and the area is a 5-yard radius. Very nice. Let's do this. Let's see, 5 squares.
Jesus.
All right. All that includes your allies too, correct?
Yes.
Okay, everybody in
have-
that green circle gets to make a
Agility. challenge
agility
roll.
challenge roll. So let me do the bad guys, and you guys do your bad guys.
Going to take a moment of clarity to think about this for a second. All right.
What happens if they fail?
On a failure, it takes 1d6 damage and becomes immobilized for the duration.
Okay, do you
Which
want to
is
roll
1 minute.
Do you want to roll damage for each, or do you want to roll damage once and apply it to each?
For the sake of time, I'll just roll it once. Pray for me. Okay. Didn't pray hard enough.
Okay, that's fine. So if they save, they don't take the damage, or on a failure it still takes. No, on a failure it takes d6 damage and becomes immobilized. If it saves, it doesn't take damage.
It doesn't have a if it saves.
Yeah. So if it says if you on a failure you do this, then on a save you'll do nothing.
Yep. So okay. So nothing on. Okay. So this guy saved. This next guy. Come on. All right, he saved. DM's rolling hot. All right, on blue. That dude failed. So he takes 2 damage. And he's still standing. Better than he ever did. Then the next guy. That one. He saves. And then this guy. This is the part of the game that I dislike. He saves. Just speaking out loud while I'm doing rolling here. I don't like this about D&D either. When the DM has to make saving throws for a bunch of guys. And it just seems to slow the game down. There needs to be a better mechanic for that. Okay, I got a lot of good saves. So unfortunately, on my end, that spell didn't do a whole lot. The only guy that was really affected is this dude up here on blue. The other guys managed to save. Now, what about you all? Anybody immobilized?
I think everyone's saved.
Yeah, and so it's at the end of the round. Everybody has to do it again. It lasts for a minute.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah,
we
so
have
it's
we
win
have something to
cast
do at
and
the end of the
end
round.
each round. Yeah.
Excellent. All right,
I'm going to
Zatada.
kill myself and everyone else.
And if you're immobilized, you take a 2d6 basically instead of 1d6. So you auto take the damage if you're immobilized.
Excellent. All right, well done, Zatada. That has added some flavor to this combat. So Delano and Blue, you are both fast. Who wants to go first?
Big D can go.
Blue can go.
You each told each other to go.
I'll go.
All right, Delano's going.
All right. Has the two that are in front of me, have either of these taken damage?
Let's see. No, they are both fresh.
All right. Since I'm facing my tune straight down, I'm going to go to the one to my right. So who's diagonal from me?
Sure.
Could be.
I can't get
Could be
the
ceiling
Oh,
fan.
there it is. That's the one I want to shoot at. Whatever. All right, we're going to attack with the crossbow, but I'm going to use the trickery again.
Sure.
So crossbow, with one boon, submit, and then we give you 8 damage total.
All right, point blank shot. This bolt goes right through its chest, takes out. It kind of latches onto the internal organs. Let's say the intestine. And basically, it goes right through the body. It's got the intestines in tow, and it essentially drags all of the organs out behind it as a nice long trail of gore spills out behind it, and it falls. How's that for a description?
Little grippy hands try to catch it.
Well done. All right, Blue, you're up.
All right, I believe this is the one I hit already for 2 damage, so I'm going to swing again at that one. It is also not the one who is grabbed by the claws on the ground.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm going to switch myself to slow. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, I'm going to go slow. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. So we're on slow. Baranora, do you want to go first? Because Blue seems to want to... Wait a minute.
Okay, then yeah. I'm going to move up to here, and I'm going to attack that one.
All right.
I'm staying out of your circle.
That's where I'm getting ready to get out
Good
of
plan. I'm gonna die in here. Just give me time.
Oh, that hits with a 19.
Excellent.
Wow, that was almost max damage. 12.
Oh, you slice and dice this thing up into sushi. It falls to the ground in pieces. Nice. Don't piss off Baranora. That's what you should pick up out of this battle. So next up is...
it. What weapon are you swinging?
Yeah.
I'm dual wielding. I'm swinging the rapier with the long knife.
Nice. Baranora, you have still some movement left, don't you? You can still move if you want.
No, I'm good right there.
All right. Blue, you're up.
All right, I am going to... Oops. I'm going to move in between these fine young gentlemen. And that looks like I'm about 50-50 in the zone or out. So I'm going to go ahead and move to here to make sure I'm out.
Okay.
Granting this one here a free attack.
Oh, he'll take it.
All right.
There's a fly in my face.
All right, and I'm going to hit the same one I was going to hit before. And I am going to Momentive Clarity that bitch. And I am going to use Augmented Attack. And I'm going to attack him with 2 boons.
Whoa!
28. Oops, that was a Venomous Bite. It's not supposed to be a Venomous Bite. It's supposed to be a chain. It's the same roll. It's just 1d6 damage instead.
All right, do your damage.
Sorry about that. 2 damage instead of 1.
All right. Well, that is still sufficient to take this one out.
All right.
And the chain goes right through its torso, cutting him in half. He falls down in 2 pieces. Stops moving. And that is it for your turns. Now it's the animated corpse's turns, and this one is grasped and immobilized. So he's like moving, trying to get it blue, but he can't quite get out of the grip of the claws sticking out of the ground. The one on Delano is going to take a swing at.
He can use his action to get out of it.
Yeah, he's not that smart.
Okay.
All right, so the one on Delano is like flailing away, but clearly thinking you're taller than you are. And then there are two on Zatada. One will
Kill me.
aim high, and the other will aim low. Okay, the one that aims high aims way too high, and the one that aims low
Punches me right in the junk.
aims way
Okay.
too low.
Mm-hmm.
And so they both miss, giving Zatada a second chance at life. So that is it
Third chance, really.
That is it for my people. And so
End
what's
of-
left of me is going to end of round, yes. So an agility challenge roll at the end of the round, and it takes another d6 damage.
Yes, except the one that has been grasped, that takes 2d6.
Okay, do your 2d6 damage on this guy. Actually, roll 1d6 first. And I'm going to make my saves, or I'm going to roll my saves, I should say. All right, nice roll. So the one that's grasped, he's torn apart because 6 is enough to destroy him. So that one's gone. This guy here fails his save, so he's still grasped. He takes a 6 damage also, right? No, he takes 2d6. I'm confused, but anyway, 6 is enough to take him out, so he dies too. This guy here. He fails, so he is destroyed. These guys aren't very tough once you hit them solidly enough. And then the last guy, wow, craptacular. That guy is also ripped to pieces. So Zatada, that spell came through for you in the end.
I failed my
Him
agility
and
roll.
Delano need to make their saves too.
Does that mean I take a d6 or something?
You take 6.
Hey, Delano, that's a 1 you can reroll with halfling bullshit.
Oh, and I forgot to mention again at the start of the turn, every round every level you gain, you get fortune. So you all have a fortune you can spend during this session.
And that's
I'll go
a
ahead and
reroll, essentially.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the
Fortune, you can turn a failure into a success. You
Can
can
I just
heal.
use it to make that
Well, it depends
save or
what
to re-roll it?
options are we using. Just the core book
Re-roll it.
options.
Yeah, core rulebook options.
Oh, wait a
So you
second
can
though.
give
That was
you
the
can
one
spend it
that
to
I
give somebody
rolled,
2
so,
boons on their attack roll.
Hold on, time out. You're both talking at the same time.
I'm sorry.
Mark, first. You're first.
I'm trying to use my good fortune. Whenever a creature within short range rolls a 1, you can use a triggered action to discard the roll and let the creature re-roll the die again.
Okay.
So that's what I'd like to do, is get another chance at the agility roll, which I'll do.
All right.
And there you go.
Yes. All right. You break free from the grasp. All right. Now, Dan, what were you saying?
He was
I'm
trying
getting ready to cut and paste it.
Okay. Oh, very good. That'll come in handy. All right. So that is it for the...
Question.
Yeah.
What about the zombies in the ooze?
Yeah, they have been torn apart by the
Okay.
ooze. And the ooze is still hungry, and it's slapping away at the sides of their pits, but they are not able to reach any of you, unless you want to get closer and get a closer look at them.
They're within range of the hands.
Actually, there are hands that are grasping at the ooze and kind of like grabbing some tar and pulling at it. It's not really doing much to it though.
Okay. I would like to move out of my death circle now. I don't have that much blood left in my body to give out.
Okay.
Oh God, it's on me!
Dan, help me out here. Can you voluntarily take down? It takes an action to voluntarily dismiss a spell that you cast, or do you have to? Does it have to go?
No, you can just try. You can just let it go.
Yeah. So is that what you want to do, Zatanna? Just let your spell go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You will it to go away, and it obeys because you are the master of death.
Okay. I was gonna say, since I cast it on myself, I can't like move anywhere.
Yeah, that seems to be a poorly planned spell by whatever necromancer created it. All right, so let's.
I think it was the perfectly planned spell.
He did exactly what he planned it to do.
Probably. All right, so it is now getting darker and darker, and you are still out in the wilds. Hunter and the other three have basically been huddled in. I should have put them out there because they would have been targets, but oh well, I forgot. They have been hiding behind these rocks over here, and so they come out now, and they actually. Let me do something here real quick. See if I can find some commoners. While I'm looking for some commoners to throw out there, Hunter suggests that you guys find a place to camp for the night because it seems like it's going to get dark here pretty quick.
Yeah, I totally forgot we had people with us, guys. We should look out for them next time.
I didn't chip or shred them.
That's true.
Only us.
All right, Hunter, since you were hiding behind the rocks, did you have a chance to use my spyglass and find us a cave to sleep in?
He says no, but there is a bunch of boulders that are sticking out over there that might offer some a little bit of shelter.
Is there any down like vegetation, like dead tree branches or limbs or anything like that?
You haven't seen any yet.
Devoid? All right.
Yeah, it's pretty barren plains that you're on right now.
All right. Well, as I'm walking forward, I am whacking the ground in front of me with my chain, trying to knock loose any tar pit things so I don't fall in it.
Okay, good call. You actually reveal a couple more tar pits as you walk. Then you kind of emerge from the area where all the tar pits seem to have congregated. A little tar pit town hall there. And so you go about half a mile and you find the outcropping of boulders that Hunter had spied. And it looks like about 5 or 6 boulders of varying sizes, but they're big enough to block the wind somewhat and have enough space in between them where you can all kind of huddle together and get some shelter from the annoying as hell sandy wind that keeps exfoliating your faces. And so this is about as good as you're going to get as from what you're able to see with the spyglass.
I'm going to use, just while we're walking at some point, I'm going to use spell recovery so that I can heal my damage and get back one of my augmented attacks.
All right. All right, so you got let's see, what did I say? You had 2 guys and a woman. So I got the guy, I got Hunter, I got a woman, and now I need the...
You need a socially awkward fat guy.
You get the nerd.
I need a nerd out there.
Fucking nerd.
All right, this guy will have to do. I'm tired of hunting for one. All right, so you got 3 commoners and a truck. No, 3 commoners following you along, and we'll just use this. We'll just use that area right there to represent the. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so are you all going to rest at the same time? Are you going to take turns? Are you going to take a long rest, which would have to be a minimum of 8 hours for you to gain the benefits? What are your plans?
We're not gonna. We're not gonna go out at night anyway, right? We're not gonna go out in the dark anyway.
Well, if your
So
vampire
you might
was
as well
with
take
you,
a-
he'd be like, "This is my time, man." But he's not.
Well, he could stay up all night, but he's not, so he can suck it, literally.
Yeah, I was going to say he would.
Okay.
All right.
So,
So
are
I'm
we
going to
about
go
the
with we'll
long
take a
rest?
long
Is
rest,
that the
and I will
vote?
take first watch if that is okay. Maybe with one of the commoners.
I will
Yeah.
use my spelunking skills to make a makeshift little camp thingy for me to sleep in.
Okay. All right, so long rest it is then. You spend 8 hours huddled together, do some watches. As the night goes on, you can still see the weird flares. Even though the sun has gone down below the horizon, you can still see the flares kind of arcing up over the horizon. And as the darkness fell, you notice that in the upper atmosphere of the moon, every time the flares go off the sun, there's this light show that happens up in the sky, and it's like magic. It just looks like an undulating series of lights and pretty colors that seem to be fluctuating across the sky. You've heard tales, perhaps, that there's something special about Tartarus that protects the planet Earth from the baneful magic of the ether, and you kind of see what they're talking about with the light show that's above you. It's kind of pretty to watch. It's actually a little bit soothing as you lay there and take it in. But you all, in turn, get your rests, and you are now able to recover a healing rate at the end of your rest. Nice. Now the night is much shorter than you would have expected. Just as Hunter predicted, the days and nights on Tartarus are shorter than they are than what you're used to. The daytime and nighttime are roughly about 9 hours in length. So just as you guys, the sun went down just before you guys camped, and then shortly after you guys rest for 8 hours, about an hour later the sun comes up, which is kind of weird. But you feel rested and ready to rock and roll. And as the sun rises, so do the flares. It's still acting unusual on this day. And can you paint us a story, Pappy? Nice. Okay, so I assume then that you guys get your packs together and eat a ration for breakfast. And incidentally, I need for you each to mark off the rations. You had enough rations, I believe, for 9 people to last 2 days, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had 18 total, we're going to knock off 7 right
So how
now,
many
so we have 11
rations?
left.
Okay. Sorry.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Alrighty.
You don't eat. All right, so 12.
Yeah.
All right, I like you
I'm
better
dead.
now.
All right. Either Blue or Hunter use the spyglass to look around, and the little black shape that you saw the day before is no longer within sight. So Hunter suggests that you just start heading towards the hills. The hills may offer, better shelter than the plains from these annoying winds. And it looks like also the storms that you have been trying to get away from are dangerously close. In fact, Hunter thinks that by the time you get to the hills, the storms may be on you based on the speed that they seem to be traveling and in the direction that they seem to be traveling. So he kind of urges you all to kind of get your stuff together and start moving.
All right, I start moving. I do take back my spyglass, and I'm basically, while walking, I'm not gonna not look. I'm looking through it the entire time, so I don't see anything that's right near me, but I'm looking off in the distance in a 360. But I'm also trying to whack the ground just randomly with my chain, because my chain, so I don't fall in a tar pit. So I look like an absolute idiot at the moment.
Nice. Alrighty.
And every 5 seconds, I'm asking him what he sees.
And I'm sure every 5 seconds he answers.
I do.
All right. So you guys get on the move and you proceed towards the hills. And you travel, let's say 2 hours before Blue spots something.
A thing.
You spot a thing, and the thing is something square off in the distance. And as you kind of zoom in with your spyglass, you can see that it looks like a wagon or a cart. And there seems to be some sort of beast of burden that is attached to it, but you don't see any movement or any people or anything that the cart would belong to around it.
There's a free wagon.
You're guesstimating that maybe a mile or so away.
Hey guys, about a mile ahead, there's a free wagon.
Sweet.
It's got a thing hooked up to it, so we can probably just drive it off into the hills.
It comes preloaded.
Okay, you're gonna head towards the wagon then, I assume.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you head towards the wagon, and
I got my weapons, and I'm staying on alert.
Okay, very good. You are on alert, and as you're walking towards the wagon, you get closer and closer to it, and you notice that the wagon seems to be parked alongside a crater. It's a small crater. It's not too huge, but it's big enough to obscure what's in the crater. But as you get closer to it, you start to see that there seems to be some movement inside the crater. And the beast of burden seems to be just kind of standing there. It glances over at you, doesn't really react. Just kind of stands there like a big stupid cow. And as you get closer to the wagon and the beast of burden and the crater, you can see down into the crater. It looks like, you see a couple things. First of all, you see some vegetation, the first vegetation that you've spotted yet inside the crater. It looks like a bush or a tree. It's kind of bluish in color. And it looks like it may have some kind of fruit or some kind of vegetation hanging off of it. But the other thing that you notice is much more interesting, and that is a group of 4 creatures that are huddled around a larger dead creature, and they seem to be eating or feasting on the larger dead creature. And as you get closer, you can tell that the 4 creatures are humanoid. But they don't look like any type of humanoid that you've seen before. The main thing that you notice is that they each have a different skin color. One of them is red. One of them is kind of a yellowish color. Another one is kind of a greenish color. and then yet the another one is a purplish color. And these creatures, as I move you over
Teletubbies.
to
You're actually
the
using
picture,
Teletubbies?
Yeah.
these creatures have odd shapes on their heads. But
Good God.
they seem to be voraciously feasting on this purple lizard creature that is dead in front of them. And they're like ripping just big chunks of meat off it and just gorging themselves on this lizard flesh.
So the Tubbies are eating Barney. Got it.
How close are we? Are we on the map?
You guys are just like right on the edge of the map.
All right, I gotta make it smaller. All right.
Here, I'll put you out here to somewhere on the edge so that you can decide what you want to do.
I already know. I'm gonna say, hey guys, can I have some of the fruit in the tree while you're eating that dead thing? I just yelled that at him.
Okay, so you yelled that out, and they clearly react to you. They look up. They all have just meat hanging out of their mouths, and gore, or not gore, but blood. They're not eating internal organs or anything like that. They seem to be just eating the flesh and the meat. But they clearly see you, and they stop eating, and they just kind of wave at you like this, and then they start eating again. Let's see, who am I missing? We are missing Blue. Okay, I have you up in the upper right-hand corner of the map.
Yeah.
Move up to the edge.
Okay.
They still don't care.
They're still eating this purple dinosaur, and the one that's closest to you kind of turns, and his belly is very distended. He seems to have eaten quite a bit. He's got a big chunk of meat in his hand, and you can see on his belly there seems to be a light patch of skin, and all of a sudden you see this crackling going across the light patch on his belly, and you can see images appear on his stomach, and the images appear to be of you coming down into the crater and him giving you a piece of meat to eat.
Oh, hell yeah, I'll watch his TV belly and work my way right on down next to him. Put my hand down and say, thanks, buddy.
Okay, and his belly just kind of turns staticky again, and just as the image showed, he hands you a piece of meat, and then basically just turns and starts munching down again on the dinosaur.
All right, I'd start chewing on whatever he handed me.
Okay. After a minute or two, he kind of turns at you again, and he swallows a bit, and he wipes his mouth, and he says, "Ho."
Well, that's not very polite.
And he points at himself, and he says, "Ho."
Blue.
And the thing that's sticking off his head, apparently it was kind of a little bit limp, and it seems to be growing more stiff as it's talking to you. And the static on his stomach starts turning into an image, and the image that it shows is a little bit offsetting. It shows you kind of him bending over, and you taking the thing that's on top, the phallus on top of his head into your mouth, and you kind of have to look away, but that image is clearly showing what this thing is imagining at the moment.
I look around and point and say, Delano.
This guy over here, he
I stay
turns
clear
and
from that and all that.
he kind of walks over here and he looks at you and he goes, tipsy. And as he does, he pulls out this flask and he chugs down some liquid and it kind of dribbles down his chin, and he holds it out to you.
Sure, I'll take it.
Tipsy. All right.
I'd like to reach out to take it.
All right, it burns all the way down your throat. Clearly some type of alcoholic beverage that is extremely strong.
right.
Not strong enough to make you roll anything, but if you take another swig, you're going to be potentially risking some inebriation. But he takes his flask back and whips back another swig, and he says, tipsy, ho, and he points at the purple guy. And then he points at the yellowish guy behind him and he says, caca. And sure enough, as soon as he points him out, the one that's got the swirl on top of his head, he's sitting there, he's kind of hunched over and eating meat. And as he does so, he just ejects this stream of shit behind him as he's eating. And the green one again points to him and he says, caca. And then the red one, he kind of he tries to point at him, but then his belly just kind of lights up and shows the red one, and he calls that one. Let's see, what I'm missing one. So let's see, we got ho, we got tipsy, we got caca, and we got who's the last one?
Stabby.
Come on, you guys didn't watch Teletubbies?
No.
Never.
Nope.
Man, you were fortunate. I was forced. I was forced to watch that goddamn kid show when my daughter was
Bebop
growing
and
up.
Rocksteady.
All right, I will think of that last one's name here in a little bit. But at any rate, they are introducing themselves, and you quickly figure that they don't have a spoken language per se. They do have names.
Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala, and Poe.
Tinky Winky, that's right. Okay, so Tinky Winky is I had a name for him. It'll come to me. Okay, so at any rate, you quickly figure out that these guys don't have a spoken language, but their thoughts manifest as images on their bellies. And they seem to be...
Poe is the red one.
Sorry?
I said Poe is the red one. I just Googled it.
Fucking
You can't Google Tartarus.
I Googled Teletubbies.
Yeah, I didn't keep the colors with the name. So this one would be Tipsy, or let's see, Tinky Winky would be Stink... Shit, why can't I remember? Anyway, it'll come to me. So it's not important at the moment. The important thing is that these guys seem to be friendly, offering you meat and drink, obviously. And then their images are showing up on their stomachs, showing you guys kind of wandering through the desert. And they're clearly, trying to ask, what the hell are you doing wandering through the desert?
I'm going to reach down into the kind of the sandy ground and draw a square with a triangle on top of it and then a little rectangle, make like a little stick figure house. And I'm pointing at it, like, see if they recognize what I'm drawing.
They kind of look at each other. They look at each other, and almost simultaneously an image appears on their belly of a tower. And they're all shaking their head vigorously, like, And the tower is like, wavering on all their bellies, like, this is a bad place.
Well, that didn't work. I don't know how to draw. Are there more of you?
They
No.
kind of look at each other, and the images kind of flash on each other's bellies that don't mean anything to you. But then Ho comes up to you, and he shows an image of what appears to be a dome, and there's like trees around it, and they point to their cart, and the image on this belly shows them on the cart and shows you on the cart heading towards this dome.
That's what I think. That's the belly we should follow right there.
Okay, and then when they see that you're agreeing with them, they're like, okay, and turn and start walking towards their wagon.
All right, I'm gonna grab another chunk of meat from the purple dinosaur on my way by.
He's quite tasty.
All
I'm
right.
gonna grab a fruit.
I had a plan for that purple dinosaur.
Might be too big for what you can do at this level.
I wanted something to ride, but okay.
Well, I think Ho will let you ride him.
Nope. Hard pass.
Yeah, he's quite
The
insistent.
hardest of.
He's quite insistent on being close to one of you, and he's clearly the friendliest.
Yeah.
But the images
I
that keep
bet.
showing up on his stomach are quite disturbing. They depict each of you in very compromising positions with Ho. And the others, when they see this happening, they just kind of smack him, and the image goes away. So you all climb into the cart with the tubbies, and they start the beast of burden, which is a beast you've never seen before. It starts lumbering off towards the hills, and it takes a couple of hours, but you guys, before you leave, they stop off at the bush and they pull off a number of the big chunks of fruit that are hanging from it, and they stick in these bags that are in the cart. It's going to be a tight fit, and you might have to carry some of the bags on your laps, but you can all fit in the cart. And you start heading towards the hills, and like I said, a couple hours to get to the hills, maybe another hour as you traverse on this trail. And you eventually get to this one hill, and you can clearly see has some vegetation on top of it, more of those trees. Actually, they're different kinds of trees, I should say. And this kind of a silvery dome that is on the center of it. When you get up there, you can see that it is a habitat of some sort. It's not large. It's maybe about 10 yards in diameter, but it's big enough for the tubbies to dwell in. They park the cart on the side of the dome. They get out, and their images on their belly shows you guys walking into the dome and partaking of the fruit and maybe getting some sleep. And there's also some images that show the storm coming and being really nasty, and showing you all going into the dome to get cover from it. And sure enough, as you see the storm, it looks like it's maybe an hour away from you guys. So the winds have picked up pretty briskly, and Hunter says, "Yeah, this is looking bad. The storm's going to whip through here probably in the next hour or so." So what are you guys going to do? You're going to go into the dome with the tubbies, or are you going to hang outside and check the area out?
No, I'm going into Tubbyland.
Okay. You go inside the dome, and it is pretty comfortable. They've got some cushiony type things on the ground. It's a very simple habitat. It's not anything that is technologically advanced by any means. The silver dome, you're not really sure what it's made of. It actually looks like it's kind of a manufactured material. It doesn't look like it's something that these tubby creatures would have created themselves. They don't seem to have really a whole lot of technological expertise. They kind of study your weapons and look at them like they don't know what they are. So they are they're clearly not geniuses, but at the same time you got this weird crafted dome that they're living in. So you're not sure if it's something that they found or what, but it does appear to be sturdy, and sure enough, an hour later the storm moves in, and it just rocks the whole area. You can hear the winds whipping very loudly, but the thing that is most disturbing is the lightning strikes all around you. In fact, the lightning strikes the dome at one point as the storm is passing by, but it just seems to arc all over the dome and fizzle out as it grounds into the ground, protecting you all. And you're all thankful when that happens. And the tubbies are, they seem to be used to it, and they're all just kind of standing around sharing weird images on their bellies. So this lasts for about a couple hours as the storm kind of blows through. By that time, it's getting to be evening, and again, the sun is starting to dip. If you could see it, but clearly the storm is overcasting the sky, so you're not able to see the sun, but you can clearly see it getting darker. As you search through the dome, you kind of look around. You do find a trapdoor in the earth. Seems to be a simple wooden trapdoor.
Yeah, I'll open up that bad boy.
Okay, you open it up.
As if it's like where I'm supposed to. As if I lived there, I open it.
Sure, you open
Just
it up,
not
and the
a care in the
tubbies.
world.
No problem. The tubbies kind of look over at you, and they don't seem to be bothered by the fact that you are opening it. And when you open the hatch, you can see a ladder leading down into a dark chamber.
That's funny. A ladder, he says to the snake guy.
Well,
You can still make your way down.
All right, I will. The one-armed snake guy somehow manages his way down the ladder.
Yeah, I mean it's tricky, but you can wrap your tail around it, and you can use your good arm to guide your way down. It seems to be a storage room that has a lot of different types of barrels and different types of crates. They seem to be filled with different types of food, and the barrels seem to have some liquid, clearly water, and another barrel, when you open it, clearly some type of very strong alcohol. And the chamber is actually a tunnel that continues onward into darkness. One of the tubbies comes down into the hole with you, and he's kind of looking
Not
around. It's
Not a-
it's Ho.
it's Tipsy Whipsy. He comes down to refill his flask, and Tipsy. He comes down to refill his flask, and he kind of shows you on his belly. He shows you the worms coming out of the ground and burrowing into the ground and making these tunnels. And he kind of points around and points at his belly. And from that, you kind of surmise that this is a tunnel that was created by one of those, worms. And they're just kind of making use of it. So it goes off into darkness in one direction and goes off into darkness in another direction.
So while he's there on the dirt floor down here, I'm going to try and do a little wagon sketch. And I'm going to point to the wagon, point to the food, and point to me. And try and communicate that can me and my buddies take your food and your wagon and go when the storm's over.
And he kind of tilts his head at you a little bit, and he flashes some images of some different things. One of them is these big rocky formations, which you saw as you approached the hills. They're not far from the hills, but they're not quite mountains, but it's like ginormous boulders that are just jutting out of the earth, almost mountain sized, but they're just big chunks of rock. So that flashes an image on the belly. Another image flashes of this, what looks like a ship of some sort, but it looks like it's half buried in the Tartarus
I poke his
terrain.
belly right there on the ship. I'm poking his belly on the ship.
Okay, and then the third image is of that tower that they showed you earlier.
All right.
And he flashes back to the ship when you're pointing at it. You kind of pointed at it just as it was transitioning to the tower image, and so he flashes back to the ship image, and you point at it again, and it goes. It kind of bounces up and down a little bit as if in agreement, and then it just kind of points around and digs around and pulls out this sack and throws it at you, and he climbs back up the ladder.
All right, I start filling the sack with foodstuffs. And is there anything that can carry water other than a barrel down here?
There are big barrels, and then there are smaller barrel-like containers that are about the size of about a pint or so in size. They have these little lids that go over them.
Yeah, I'll fill a couple probably 6 of those with water and a bag full of food, and kind of toss it up to the guys up on top of the ladder, and then scurry my way back up top.
Okay.
And to tell them that the green guy knows where the ship is.
Okay. Rock and roll. The tubbies kind of show on their belly that the sun is going down. And then they show a picture of everybody asleep, except for Ho, who's over there humping on the beast of burden that is outside. So that image goes away pretty quickly, and Ho kind of gets up and walks outside of the dome. And then you hear some grunts and some noises, squeals coming from outside. But the other tubbies kind of just lay down and appear to go to sleep. As they go to sleep, you see their dreams manifest on their bellies, and they all seem to have images coming across that look very much like harvesters. And you can see the harvesters chasing the tubbies and capturing them and putting them in wagons with bars on them and taking them to this tower. At this tower, you see this big, hulking harvester that is just grabbing the tubbies and throwing them in cells, and grabbing other tubbies and just ripping them in half. This massive harvester is clearly the stuff of nightmares for these tubbies as they're squirming in their sleep while these images are flashing across their bellies. You also see images of just weird, happy things flash across as their dreams transition into other areas, and then as they go into deep sleep, their bellies just go into static.
All right. Well, I'm all for waiting until they can show us how to get to the ship, unless you guys want to do something else. I'm good either way.
All right. So it's been about another 8 hours since your rest when you found the tubbies, and the travel time to get here, and the time that you spent in the dome for the storm to pass over. You're not able to get another long rest and really to get any advantage of it. So you can sleep if you want, or you can just kind of hang out, read your book. You did pick up a scroll from the surgeon's lair that I don't think anybody has cracked open yet, if anybody is curious about that. And you may have also some other things that you haven't checked out yet. You haven't rolled for your enchanted item yet. And you have not... Oh, nobody's claimed the incantation scroll, I don't think. And
Nope.
You have rolled for a few interesting things, but not all of them.
Well, I kind of figured it was one interesting thing per person.
Yeah.
So, kind of guessed they would want to roll theirs.
Okay.
Why I didn't do any more of those. And I wasn't interested in the incantation per se. Even though I'm a spellcaster, I look at my he sees himself more as a combatant, so it wouldn't even click.
Sure.
Yeah. I
Does
know I
anybody?
wouldn't even know where to begin with the magic, so.
Okay.
No desire.
I was just gonna grab it for just to have it. My character is like a pack mule, pretty much.
The scroll case itself is pretty nice, but when you open it to see the scroll inside, it is worn. The writing on it seems to be in the common tongue, and it seems to
I'll be right
be
back.
in water-based blue ink. That's about all you can tell without actually unraveling it and seeing what's on it.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to save the interesting things for later. Do you guys want to take a quick 5-minute break? It's actually almost 10, but if you need to take a piss, this would be a good time to do it since Dan has stepped away.
Who hasn't
good,
rolled
be
for an
right back.
interesting thing yet?
What's that? I'm sorry, Steve. You haven't.
I was asking who hasn't rolled for an interesting thing yet. I know I have, Dan has, and Jeremy has. Mark already did too, so that's 4 out of the 7.
Okay.
And then the other 2 guys aren't here, so let them have theirs.
Right. All right. So the Enchanted Object. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. It is.
Anything
It
exciting?
is a mummified hand. And
Dead like my soul.
I assume one of you kind of plays with it. And
Yeah, I could see the necromancer playing with it.
Sure. As you play with it, you figure out what it does. It allows you to use a triggered action on your turn to change your appearance so that you can look like someone else. The effect lasts for 1 hour or until you take any damage.
I can be pretty.
Sure can. So this is a mummified hand, and
You could be a real boy.
I'm a real boy.
you can use this 3 times a day.
Nice.
As far as fitting, the mummified hand fits the necro pretty good, but the actual effect I think fits our rogue probably the best.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's where I would vote to toss it, but that's just me. Doesn't. Either way,
I'm running to the bathroom. I'll be back.
and he can't hear me, so he doesn't know that I said something good about him.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Mark has stepped away.
Yeah, but at the same time, that could also be good for the necromancer because he can make himself look more normal.
Right? Yeah.
If
Either way.
maybe.
Yeah.
Or he can make a skeleton look more normal when he gets another one.
Hey, we can make another one at any moment. At any moment, we can make another one.
You can make a Skeletubby.
Oh no, we still have 3 prisoners. We can convert a prisoner into a skeleton immediately.
All right, so you guys, you spend your time in the, you spend the nighttime hours in the bubble, in the
Protective
dome.
butthole.
Ho eventually comes in after finishing up with the Beast of Burden, and he gets some rest. And then as it gets closer to the morning hours, you hear a horrifying sound outside. It sounds like it's coming from the Beast of Burden. But it just makes this, it just makes a horrific dying sound as if something just tore into it and is killing it. It instantly rouses you, any of you that are sleeping, it instantly rouses the tubbies. and
Instantly rouses or arouses?
they arise from their sleep and are clearly scared of the sound. There are images flashing on their bellies of harvesters coming to get them, and a caged wagon on the outside of their dome. So what are you guys going to do?
Look outside the window.
No, I immediately start heading over towards heading towards the basement. The tunnel.
Okay. What are the rest of you going to do?
Look outside some kind of window to see if I can see what's going on out there.
All right. You look outside, and
I'm too insane to be scared.
All right. You look outside, and what you see is something that is something you've never seen before. Something is indeed attacking the beast of burden, and it's just ripping it up with large mandibles. And the thing that is attacking it appears to be a large multi-segmented creature, and the segments appear to be humanoid torsos, but each of them have these large pincers instead of normal arms, and they are just ripping into this thing, tearing it to shreds. And let me show you what this thing looks like as it is ripping into it. You can zoom in on it.
Are they all connected or just individual?
Yeah,
things?
there it is, right there, the human centipede.
That's
Is
yeah.
that the manipede?
That is the manipede. It apparently has tracked you all the way to the tubby lair.
Oh man, what the hell?
And it is ripping into this thing. It has killed the beast of burden and is eating it currently. So while it's distracted, what are the rest of you going to do? One of you has gone into the tunnel. How about the rest of you?
I was heading.
Tell
towards-
everybody the manipede is here.
All right, I say, are we taking it out? I don't like the way it looked at me.
Are we capable to take this thing out?
It's just a manipede. I say as if I've seen manipedes all over the place my entire life.
As if they're
I see.
common.
Yes, I say it with complete confidence in our ability.
I'm down.
All right, let's do it. Let's take out the
Okay.
manipede.
So Zatada went into the tunnel, or is in the process of going in the tunnel.
I was opening up the cellar doors.
Sure, the hatch. And as you're doing that, the rest of the guys are like, yeah, let's go get him. Yeah, let's go kick his ass.
Escape! 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 Get in my hole!
Clearly, the rest of the guys are heading out.
I've
Don't you wanna
already
have a
died
zombie
once.
manipede? Don't you want a zombie manipede?
I can resurrect a segment.
Yeah, get a segment, man. That'd be who else has a segmented zombie?
Yeah, you can get the backside.
No, get the front side. Get the stabby part.
Nice.
I could get behind. I could get behind that actually. I'm in.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Party
Turn
wipe,
order
start
up
new
here.
party.
All right, let's go die.
All right,
This-
as you guys prepare to step outside, the manipede finishes its meal and is starting to turn towards the entrance of the tubby layer, which is right over here. So let's go ahead and get the turn order up, get your actions aligned. It's going to go on the slow turn.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What does short distance mean?
That's within
5
20
squares.
5 squares?
Short's 5. Yeah.
5 squares, yeah.
Medium is 20, long is 100, extreme is sight.
Is there a second floor to this tower or somewhere up higher that I could get to shoot at this thing?
All right, there's me going slow.
You can climb on top of the dome if you want. It is about 15 at its peak. It's about 15 feet and 15 feet tall.
But there's no windows or anything, correct?
There is kind of a small portal on the side where you guys looked out over here, and there's a little small portal, not big enough to climb out, but big enough to see out. The only thing big enough to get out is the front door, which is over here.
Yeah. Could I theoretically shoot my crossbow out that thing at this thing?
Sure you can.
That's what I'd like
With
to
the
go
thing,
do
with the
then.
thing.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You got this.
All right. Now your line of sight is going to be quite limited. So if it leaves, let's see if I have anything. If it leaves that zone, I'm going to try to find a zone token for you here. But if it leaves that zone, then you're not going to be able to aim at it. But I'll find something here as soon as you guys get into combat. All right, so we are entering round 1 of the encounter with the Manapede. And it looks like we have a couple people going fast. The Manapede has not elected to go. Why not? It is going slow.
I see the Manapede going slow. Yeah.
Oh god,
I
the
see the
Manapede's
Manapede
going
going
twice.
Here we go. Okay. Was not showing up for me for some reason. All right, so we have a couple fast, we have a couple slow, and then I go last. So let's go ahead and go with the fast turns. Delano, you want to go ahead and get that portal open and fire?
Yes.
All right, make it happen.
I assume its defense is better than 11?
Hey, I'm going to use one of our fortune and give him 2 more boons on that roll.
Yeah, you're going to need them.
All right, if you want to let him know that.
Mark, you're going to need the blue is giving you, or Dan is giving you 2 boons on that roll. So go ahead and add those because your 11 is not going to hit.
All right, so that would make it 13 then.
Okay, and that is exactly what you need to hit. So,
All right.
and I'm just putting this cone out here just to kind of give you your line of sight. So out the portal, you are able to target anything.
That cone doesn't look emissive at all.
You're able to target anything within that cone.
Okay.
And
The cone scares me more than the Manapede does.
Okay, so what kind of damage did you do on that?
Well, with the trickery damage and the regular damage, it would have been 11.
All right, 11 points of damage as the crossbow bolt hits one of the segments squarely in the torso. It lets out. It looks like it's kind of hard to describe, but this thing looks like it tries to scream, but it clearly can't because its mouth is sewed to the ass of the segment in front of it. But it looks like the scream kind of goes from segment to segment, and then in a weird delay, the front segment screams out in pain in response to that attack. So
And the other side farts.
yeah. All right, so that was Delano on the fast turn. Baranora, you're next.
I moved into the center of the room to get ready. That's it.
Okay.
Are we finding it in here?
I said we let it come in here and get us. That way, if we need to, we can jump down the hole.
All right. Do we need somebody to taunt it in here, or do we think it's going to come in here?
I think someone just shooting it in the chest plate will make it want to
All
come
right.
in.
All right. So then I am going to hold my ground where I'm at and prepare to attack the. I'm going to prepare a spell when the if the manapede gets within my reach.
Go tank that thing, Steve.
Okay, you are preparing a spell. Very good. So we will hold off on you. And sorry, I'm just trying to rearrange the tubbies. They're kind of cowering back here. Okay, so that's it for the fast turns, and one slow turn is now prepared. Zatada, you're last. So what are you going to do?
I'm going to move next to the purple one. And can I fire out the hole that Mark made? Delano made?
You're going to be at, I'm going to say 2 Banes, because you're further away from the portal and you're at a weird angle.
Just prepare this spell to fire as soon as he enters the door.
That was actually going to be my other thing. I will prepare then.
Okay. Delano, you see the manapede react to your attack, and it moves directly toward the dome, and it starts climbing up the dome. And the rest of you hear this thing as these pincers dig into the dome, the silvery substance of the dome. You see it kind of actually cracking the dome, and little bits of dust from the ceiling starts falling where the pincers dig into the dome surface. It kind of climbs up on the dome, and a pincer pokes through the portal that you're at. It's going to be at a couple of Banes to attack, but it's going to try to hit Delano through the portal with 2 Banes. So let's see how it does.
Poked you in the eyeball.
Good Lord.
All right.
Dead air.
With 2 Banes, did I roll Banes or is that a boon?
I see +4, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was a boon.
Oops, sorry. My bad. Let me re-roll that. All
Please
right.
do.
Yeah, you gotta
Even
put
higher.
-2 in order to get the Banes. There we go. Oh, shit. That can't be
Wow.
right.
Yeah, because that was 16 plus 5, so that was a hit if the Banes cancel each other out.
That's a Bane 16 plus 5. Wow. Okay. Well, that is, yeah, he's +5 to hit. Oh, you know what? He has 2 boons. He's at 2 Banes. So actually, he's just straight up to hit. All right, never mind. He hit you for 8 damage through the portal there, Delano.
All right. Hang on 1 second. I'm looking to see if there's anything triggery I can do.
Dan suggests you take a wound to ignore the hit.
Yeah.
What the hell? I already have a wound. Or, I mean, I'm already maimed. Let's take a wound. What do I roll for that?
All right, I'm going to put this on a handout one of these days, but until then, battle scars. So roll a d6.
All right.
So we aren't using the Battle Scars book for this?
I got it open here. Okay, what is that, a 5? Okay, 2 to 5 is a minor injury. Roll 3d6 and find the total on the injuries table.
All right. There. 3d6 is an 8.
All right, an 8 on the injuries table is a painful injury, which means Hurt in a sensitive place. He got you in the ding-ding. You are overcome by the pain. You become impaired for 1 minute. At the end of each round, you can make a will challenge roll and remove the affliction on a success. You also remove this affliction when you are no longer injured. So go ahead and click the impaired button on your character sheet. You are impaired for 1 minute, or if you make that challenge roll at the end of each round, you can remove that affliction.
Where is impaired on here?
It should be towards
Oh, there it
the...
is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that was the Manapede's turn. And now we are back at the top of the turn order, since you guys lose your prepared action since it didn't come in. Round the second. And the Manapede is going to go slow again.
Get away from the window.
I'm working on it.
He just got hit in the dongle.
I think he got poked in the eye.
Got hit right
Okay,
in the
Dan.
jaw.
Is there enough mandible hanging down that we can fight it?
Not really. It just kind of poked its mandible inside, struck Delano in the private parts, and then pulled it back out again.
Like you do?
Like you do. Hate when that happens.
In and out. Nice and quick.
Right. All right. Looks like we got one fast. Who's missing? Blue is going slow. Okay, so Delano, you're up.
I want to just run away to here.
Okay. Run away. And you do
Waves
so.
around and ran away.
Very good. That was your fast turn. So now we go to the slow turns. Who wants to go?
I'm going to prepare the exact same thing.
Right on.
Same.
Same. I'm going to prepare
right.
to charge it if it makes it inside.
You're all prepping. All right, the Manapede climbs up. You can hear it climbing up the top of the dome, and you hear it kind of clicking its mandibles at the on the ceiling, on the roof, I should say, at the very peak of the dome. And suddenly, just in unison, you hear all of the mandibles just basically coming down on the dome, and you can see a circular pattern, perforation, kind of forming on the ceiling of this habitat, and it seems to be trying to chip its way into the dome. After a couple of minutes of dust dropping and bits of ceiling falling, the chipping away stops as it, or a few seconds I should say. It just spins around doing this. It gets tired of trying to do that and it stops. And that's what it did on its slow turn. So we are at the end of the round, and Delano, you need to make a will challenge roll to see if you can get rid of that affliction.
Do I make it with a bane because of the impaired?
No. Well, maybe. Yeah, I guess you do. If you're impaired,
Right.
you make your rolls with a bane.
There.
He can use trickery because
he's
he hadn't
good.
used
Oh,
it this
actually-
round.
He's
Okay.
I
good.
took one. Okay.
Okay, luckily he only grazed your sack. He didn't quite. He didn't pierce it, so it felt worse than it was.
So
All right.
do I lose the impaired tag? I'm sorry, I
do.
didn't mean to interrupt. All right.
Yep, you're no longer impaired. All right, round the third is up, and this thing is clicking along the top of the ceiling or the roof of this structure. You're not really sure what its next move is going to be. So let me go ahead and get rid of your old statuses, and you can get new ones up. Come on, damn it. That's annoying. Stop it. Okay, Barnor, for some reason I can't get rid of your shit. Never mind. Roll 20 is not liking me tonight. Okay, so, yeah, new round.
Okay, Dan.
I'm just going to use a fast turn to go over and open the door.
Tell
Okay.
them we have cookies.
Cookies.
Yeah, we've got cookies.
Punch and pie.
Nom nom. Okay, who am I missing? We got Delano, Blue, Zatata, and we're missing Short Stuff.
That's Barna already went and opened the door.
Yep, that's
All
why I didn't
right.
even bother to do it.
Gotcha. All right, Delano, you're up.
Reload crossbow. Done.
Excellent. Blue and Zatata.
Prep.
Prep. Gotcha. Your dream comes true. The manapee comes marching through the opening as it claws its way down the side of this thing, and it kind of goes underneath the top of the door and starts to make its way inside. So
I'm behind the door at the moment.
Okay. It peeks its ugly head in. What are you going to do?
Well, it's not in my reach yet, so I don't do shit. I wave at it and give it the finger.
I wish I could give it the finger.
Okay. And where are you? You're over here. So it will proceed into the room, and it is
All right,
now within your reach.
All right, Zatata used his thing, it looks like.
Popped off a spell. Terrible miss.
Yeah, that's a miss.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so fast.
Sorry.
I don't know. It might have for agility.
It's only multiple bodies.
Nothing has that bad of an agility.
All right, so I will use my prepared action, so I'm going to Moment of Clarity,
All right.
and then I am going to Strike the Soul. All right, so I get to make the attack roll with 3 boons, and I can use Will. So I have a total of 4 boons. And that is 16 against his defense.
That's a hit.
All right, he takes 1 damage. Oh, and 1d6 plus 1d6 from the Strike the Soul attack. So where is that? That is right here. So a total of 2 damage. And if he is not immune to poison, he must make a strength challenge roll.
Can I trigger an action, change that roll?
He is not immune to poison, so he will make that strength challenge roll. Are there any boons or banes?
Doesn't appear so.
All right.
He's good.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
Mhm.
He rolled a 15. Awesome.
He is all good.
All right. That was Blue. Zatata, you did your... What did you
I
do?
was
on
going to
yours?
ask if I could
Yeah, you missed.
fortune it.
Yeah, well, if you want to fortune it, I'll let you retro.
I wouldn't because it's only 2 damage.
I was more looking at the Bane on attacks.
Yeah, he gives him 1 a bane for all next round. He'll have a bane on his attack.
I was
It's
thinking
all right.
that might be beneficial, but alright. Leave it the way it is.
All righty. Let's go on to round the 4th. All right, so Blue and Baranor are going fast. So let's see it happen.
Actually, I do have a quick question. I'm assuming that creature is not living.
Oh, it's alive.
Is it? Okay, then there's another sentence on my strike the soul that I hit him with.
Uh-huh.
If he is living and made of flesh and blood and has a soul, he gains 1 insanity and becomes impaired for 1 round.
That's awesome, except he is immune not to poison, but to gaining insanity.
All right, so he just becomes impaired then?
Impaired.
All right.
Has multiple souls, really.
Yeah, so just impair his ass for 1 round.
All right. Well, sadly, the character sheet doesn't have impairment, so that would be a nice upgrade. But anyway, I will have to remember that. Let me put
All right.
some little marker on here to remind me. Okay, so that was last turn. What are you going to do to him now, Blue?
I am going to augment my chain attack after our moment of clarity once again. So there we go. Augmented attack. Attack him with 2 boons. 24 defense. I'm actually attacking with my damn chain. I just have it auto set to the bite. I gotta change that. But anyway. So the chain is a D6 instead of that 1. So 2, and like it. And
All right.
He gets another strength challenge roll or becomes poisoned.
All right, you smack him with the chain, and it annoys him. And with the strength challenge roll, sorry, I forgot to add my bane, but I don't think it would make any difference.
I don't think so.
No, not with that roll.
All right, that was Blue on fast. Baranora on fast. What do you do?
I get a 25 to hit him. Stabby stab in the butt.
Awesome.
Which butt?
Yeah, pick a butt. Any butt.
The one that doesn't have a head in it.
Okay, that would be the last butt.
10 damage.
All right, it didn't like that, and it screams out in pain. Again, you hit the ass end, and the scream takes
Gotta
1,
travel
2,
all
3,
the
4,
way.
5, 6,
That's
7,
why
8,
I
9.
did it, 'cause I wanted it to travel.
All right, so that was Baranora. Now we go to the slow turns, and Zatada or Delano. Who wants to go first?
You can go first, Jeremy.
Throwing a spear. I don't want to get near the business end of this. Getting to spear.
Don't be scared.
Do not like.
Nice roll.
There you go.
Yeah!
Very good.
It's still the same thing. 18? Staff has a +1, so
That hits.
18.
Yeah, that hits. How much damage?
6 damage.
6 damage.
And I'm down a spear now. Alright, let's go.
All right. The creature appears to be wounded now. Or injured.
Nice.
What's the term? Is it injured?
Bloodied.
Injured. Bloodied.
Bloodied, whatever. It's halfway
It's
down.
injured here.
Bloodied is how I know. Sorry, I'm D&D.
Bloodied
so
is
I'm like,
D&D.
Bloodied, yeah.
All right,
I just
Delano,
keep
you're up.
using D&D terms.
This is
I'd
Shadow.
like to
Injured.
move. I'd like to move to this square here if I can occupy it.
Yep.
All right, and then I'm going to. I'm going to go ahead and use trickery again, and then I am going to. Let's see here. I'm trying to crossbow with a boon. 27.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your extra damage is, so that's 14.
Very nice. You guys are rocking and rolling on this thing. And if I can do my math, let's see. Got it. All right. This thing is hurt and bleeding profusely from various wounds, but it is still flailing wildly, and on its turn, it will actually make a frenzied attack. It's going to attack Baranora, and it's going to attack Blue. It does so with 1 Bane and a 2nd Bane. because of his impairment, which means that it cancels out his natural 2 boons. So it's a straight up d20 roll. And with his natural attack, let's see what happens. The first attack on blue is an 18 to hit. The attack on Barnora is a 10. I think Barnora is missed.
Yep.
I'm going to use a triggered action
Uh-huh.
and cast Negate Harm, which allows me to reduce the damage from 1 attack to 0.
Excellent. Good choice, because that would have been 7 damage.
All right, thank you.
All right, very good. So this thing slices at you, but you manage to ward it off. And that is the end of round the 4th. We now move on to round the 5th. And this thing is getting desperate as its injuries continue to pile up. It will go fast this time.
All right, I'm going to Moment of Clarity and use a chain attack, but I'm going to use Feat of Will, which is the second trigger on it, lets me use my will modifier with a boon, so it'll be a will attack with 2 boons total.
Okay.
And so that is chain with will onto him for 2. There's a 21 defense for 1 damage because I'm just that strong.
All right, every little point counts.
Yeah.
All right, and that was blue on fast. Zatada or Baranora or Delano, who's going next?
Dagger.
19 hit it.
Oh,
19 does hit.
It takes 11.
Ouch. It screeches out in pain as that strikes some vital organ on some segment. And it is having a difficult time standing, but it is still able to attack. So that was Baranora's fast turn. Zatada, you're up. Or Delano.
throwing a
I'm just
dagger.
reloading the crossbow.
All right. Zatada.
Oh, pray for me.
Get your own prayers, buddy.
13?
That's what you need.
2 damage.
Excellent. You strike it in the heart of the first segment. And it strikes true, hitting the creature in that vital organ, and it drops to the ground, all of its segments flailing the mandibles wildly, and it drops dead at the feet of Blue and Baranora, bleeding out all across the Tubby's home. And they proceed to go over there and start tearing segments off to cook for dinner.
I would like to go retrieve my weapons.
That's fine. They grab the weapon and toss it back at you as they start pulling limbs off to save for dinner. All right. Well done. You took
I
out
would go over at Blue and say, well, that was a little easier than I thought it'd be.
Well,
I had
actually,
all the faith in the world, man.
that was a difficulty 50 monster. However, I did not apply the horrifying aspect of it, which would have probably impacted the attack. So that probably reduced the difficulty by at least 1 factor.
Yeah.
But you still did well. And congratulations on taking out the Manipede. That will probably take us to the end of tonight's session since we're at 10:20.
Over. Yeah.
So we will pack it up here. You guys can decide where you're going to take the cart, although your beast of burden is now dead.
We got a snake of burden.
You do.
We have one section of burden.
Your snake of burden has a strength 8 and is reduced because he's wearing heavy armor. So we'll be moving very slowly.
Okay, so we will wrap it up here tonight, and you guys will go ahead and level up to second
All right.
group level for the next session, which will be next week unless something unforeseen comes up. So same bad time, same bad channel. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Thanks
All right,
again,
we'll
bud. It was
see you.
great.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Have a good night.